Have you ever landed on a website and it just feels different? You know, like it's actually pulling you in, making you want to explore. Well, that's not just a clever design trick, that's psychology. In this explainer, we're going to break down how you can build web portfolios that tap into our brain's deep-seated fascination with space and depth to create experiences that are genuinely engaging. So let's just start with a really basic question. Why? Why do we get that little jolt of curiosity, that urge to peek around a corner or look through an open doorway? This isn't just some random thing. It's a really powerful echo from our evolutionary past. I mean, picture this. You're standing in a bright, open field, and you see the dark mouth of a cave. There's this immediate, almost magnetic pull. What's in there? Is it a safe place? Is it dangerous? That mystery. That's what flips the switch on our instinct to explore. Or think about a path that winds its way into a forest. A straight path would get you there faster, sure, but this isn't about efficiency. The winding path holds a promise of discovery just around the next bend, and that makes us want to see what's next. It literally pulls us along. And this is the payoff. This is the reward our brains are wired to look for. A totally plain, uninteresting rock on the outside cracks open to reveal this whole universe of crystals inside. So the big question for us, as designers and developers, is how can we bottle up this incredible feeling of discovery and hidden value and put it on a flat, two-dimensional screen? All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty here. We're moving beyond these cool examples to really dig into the psychology of depth, to understand why our brains are hardwired to absolutely love getting a glimpse into the unknown. And that brings us to this fascinating concept from 1975 called Prospect Refuge theory. The idea is pretty simple. We are naturally drawn to places where we can see what's out there, that's the prospect, all while being in a place of safety, that's our refuge. Now think about a web page. The user is safe right where they are. An effect that creates depth gives them a prospect, a safe little window to peek at new info without fully committing. It's all about making the user feel empowered and in control. And there are two other key ideas working right alongside this. First, you've got the promise of mystery. Our brains just can't stand not knowing. So when we only see part of something, our exploratory instincts just go into overdrive. We have to see what's being hidden. And second is the beauty of complexity and order. We love looking at things that are visually rich and interesting, but, and this is key, not chaotic. We want that richness to be inside a structure we can understand. So we've got the why this all works. Now let's get to the what. We're going to give this awesome technique a name, the Cavern reveal. Because as you're about to see, this is so much more than a simple animation. What we're really doing is manufacturing a sense of real space on a totally flat surface. So what is it exactly? Well, a cavern reveal is an animation that the user kicks off, and the magic happens when layers of content start moving along the Z-axis. You know, that's the axis that goes into your screen. That movement is what creates this powerful illusion of 3D depth, making it feel like you're literally peering into a space. And this is what sets it apart from all the usual stuff we see online. A standard hover effect, it's flat, it's predictable, it's informative, I guess, but a cavern reveal is deep, it's intriguing. It stops being just about information and becomes a full-on experience. All right, time to pull back the curtain. How do we actually create this magic? This next part is the Illusionist Toolkit, where we'll see exactly how we can bend that Z-axis with just a few simple lines of CSS. And you know what? It really just boils down to 3 key steps. First, you set the stage with the perspective property. This basically tells the browser how far away you are, which changes how dramatic the 3D effect looks. Second, you gotta enable 3D space with Transform Style Preserve 3D. Think of this as flipping the main power switch for 3D. And third, you do the real work with Transform Translate Z. A negative number pushes something away from you, deeper into the screen, and a positive one pulls it closer. That's it. Okay, now that we know the why and the how, let's get to the really fun part, seeing what this looks like in the wild. Here are 3 fantastic examples of this technique used in portfolios to create designs that really truly pull you in. All right, let's kick things off with this first one, the geode card reveal. This example connects right back to that powerful metaphor we started with, that plain old rock hiding something amazing inside.
So what makes this so darn effective? Well, it perfectly copies that real-world feeling of discovery. The user gets curious, they hover, and boom, they're rewarded with something beautiful and new. But the key insight here is that you're creating this amazing metaphor. Just like that geode, there's a ton of hidden value and quality inside your projects. It's just a masterclass in using that mystery principle. Next up, we've got the architectural model grid. This one is all about using depth to manage what could be a lot of visual information and to expertly guide the user's focus exactly where you want it. The way this works is just so simple and so powerful. You hover over one project, and all the others just sort of recede into the background. This creates this incredibly strong visual cue that basically screams, "Look here." What you're doing is using that complexity and order principle to create a temporary clearing and a dense field of information, giving the user an instant, effortless focal point. It's brilliant. And for our last example, and this might be the most compelling one, we have the receding door call to action. This is all about taking a simple, everyday button and turning it into an invitation that's almost impossible to refuse. When you hover, the button's background pushes back, creating this little visual tunnel or doorway. All of a sudden, it's not a button anymore. It's a portal. This is a direct hit on both mystery and prospect, creating this almost irresistible psychological pull to enter and see what's on the other side. The insight is huge. You're not just telling them to click, you're inviting them to begin a journey. Now, these effects are seriously powerful, but to use them like a pro, we have to build with purpose. So let's quickly cover a few crucial things you need to consider to make sure the experience is amazing for every single user. Okay, here's your pro-level checklist. First, performance. You want to only animate the transform and opacity properties. Why? Because the browser hands those off to the GPU, which keeps your animations buttery smooth. Second, accessibility. Your cool effects have to work for keyboard users too, not just people with a mouse. So trigger them on keyboard focus. And finally, responsiveness. Remember, there's no such thing as hover on a phone. You need a fallback plan, either a tap-based version or just a static design for mobile users. And this all comes back to a core idea, which this quote from Sulfium Design just nails. The most successful code is often that which resonates most deeply with our own. At the end of the day, great design isn't really about pixels. It's about connecting with what makes us human. The big takeaway here is that our screens don't have to be flat, static canvases. They can be windows. They can be doorways into deep, explorable spaces. Which really just leaves us with one final big question. If screens aren't flat, what new worlds will you build?